So what else we got?
I heard
gotta pee
Uber
so
was
fucking bad.
rolling out self-driving cars this month.
I heard that too, but is it actually happening? I feel like I've seen an update about self-driving cars showing up for the last year.
I have no
I
idea.
like that so much better. Now,
But
now, so here's one thing. I don't like Uber because I like the professionalism of a cab driver. I like that, he can either go be completely silent or he can carry on a conversation, and he'll kind of take cues from me as to which are best. But like an Uber driver, I don't know what I'm getting into or what this person's going to be like, what their reasons for being an Uber driver is. But it's probably not that they want to be a professional like livery driver, which is what a taxi cab driver is. So the idea of a car just showing up empty and I get in and like I can fart in the back, like all right, here we go. Got my own car here. This is perfect. That's I would like that a lot. And it would be even better if you got to drive. If the Uber shows up and you can get behind the wheel and go where you want.
I heard a comedian say, buy that stock right now. There's a massive untapped market for rolling hand job motels.
Oh,
Ooh,
yeah, good point.
that's why stop at hand jobs.
I hear you, but like,
Get yourself a bang bus.
Maybe too much movement would throw off the gyroscope or whatever is controlling the lanes. Maybe.
dude,
Hopefully not. That would be a very well designed.
Sir, please stop.
driverless Ubers are totally going to become like prostitute. I don't know.
It's gonna be a good place to film a porno. I really like. So one of my favorite subreddits is Hold the Moan. That's when they're doing like naughty sexual stuff in a
You
public.
don't have to tell me about Hold the Moan.
Yeah, but for the listeners out, I know what I'm saying. Hold the Moan is very good. Hold the Moan. They're doing naughty sexual things in public settings, in parked cars, with crowds of people just behind them. Maybe she's facing the camera and like showing her boobs, but they're in a Starbucks completely surrounded, but only the camera can see her front. So she's like, stuff like that. They'll masturbate in like libraries and like they're like squirting in classrooms.
Sex in a
It's good
changing room.
Oh yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Big fan of that. So that will be the next place to film your Hold the Moan gifts for my use.
That actually is a good point. I hadn't thought about the prostitution angle for self-driving cars, or really just the having sex.
Right.
Suddenly, road trips get a lot more fun when you don't have to perform the duties traditionally associated with road trips.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely so. It would be nice to be in the car and just be able to interact with the other person, like give them 100% of your attention, whether that's sex or that's, I don't know. The future is now. I feel like an old man because like I'll get out a goddamn laptop and like solve a problem so instantaneously that it's so much power.
Dude.
It's like, oh, we need a thing brought in from the other side of the country like in 2 days to make this other big thing work. Done. There's a whole. I just put a chain of events in motion that dozens of people are going to fulfill what I want done, and it'll just happen. And it's $30.
And
Yeah.
getting questions answered, like once you get the knack for asking Siri stuff, that's amazing. And Siri, I know like 15
Love
things
Siri.
that she does, and then of course I can just ask her to Google stuff for me. And like that, I don't know, something about that. The future is now. She is amazing. And Siri changed. So when she came out, she was just like a voice recognition system that like people programmed. Now she's a learning machine. She's Skynet. So like you ask her a question and she answers it, and she's tracking how well she does at this. So she's continuously learning to be a better assistant through like genetic algorithms. It's the coolest thing. It's a
little scary, but also not scary enough to not outweigh it in coolness. I never use Siri or talk to text because it just I can type with my fingers on my phone so much faster than having to go back and correct. And like, if you want to add, if you don't want to look like a complete blithering idiot that has no punctuation and common words spelled wrong, then you just have to type it because
That's not true.
voice to text is not there yet. At least when I've tried it.
You don't know how to use it correctly. So what you do is you say, when are you coming to my house? ? I would like to see you later today. Period. You say your punctuation and it just does it and makes the sentences.
I do that too, but here's the trouble. Like, let's say I do just that, and then for some reason it says, "When are you coming to my mouse?" ? I find it super tough to like just swap that M for an H. They haven't worked in either. I suck at it, or that GUI isn't everything it could be?
I think, do you use SwiftKey? Because I use SwiftKey.
I don't. I think I just used a built-in Apple one. Yeah, it's a replacement keyboard.
I've done a lot of things to be able to fix like typing and texting errors. There was this. I used to always try to type the word have, HAVE, and it would make up this invisible imaginary word that I don't think is a word. HANNE, HANNE. And it was just like, what is this word? And I went and like disabled the word, so it can't even fucking be typed anymore. And it's so wonderful. So I went in and did that to a lot of like common typos and misspellings, so it just doesn't happen anymore. I love SwiftKey.
SwiftKey does this too, I know, but the built-in Apple keyboard, if you do, like for example, I do PKA in all capital letters. That might be something I type more than most people do. Now it's a thing. Like if I can just verbally say PKA, and it's a word in my dictionary that she knows is like in my everyday vocabulary, and it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I like the stuff we're getting. It's cool stuff. We'll have the self-driving cars soon enough. That's actually going to be a thing.
I want a self-driving RV. I feel like that really takes it to the next level. You know, a
Man,
self-driving car is cool,
No.
but when you have a TV and a kitchen in there, now you're talking.
But you got to be at the wheel, right? Like you can't have what's basically half of a house careening down the highway at 70 miles per hour while you're in the back barbecuing and Jackie's taking a nap.
Ideally, you shouldn't, but people will do that.
Yes.
People will definitely do that.
Can you imagine what it would be like for it to be in an RV that had like a major like 70-0 collision?
I looked at buying
or you like
an
run
RV.
into a bistro somewhere and just barrel over like 60 people. Like that could happen.
I looked at buying an RV recently. The owners of this house had an RV that sold it to us. And so there's like a couple, it shouldn't be a big deal breaker, but there's like RV plugs and stuff here and there. And I was like, like some of the things that stopped me from owning stuff like that at the Apex house was where would I put it? Like what would I do with it? Now those things aren't barriers.
They're so cool. They're expensive.
They're expensive
like,
and they're bad. Like, well, RVs are built like cheaply. Poorly. For example, they're just like thin aluminum, worse than a mobile home, right? Thin aluminum. The little quarter round strips on the outside have like a 1/4 inch of overlap to the sideboard, and they always separate and they always leak. And then like guys are telling me like, oh yeah, then you patch it with the tar or something, and then it leaks in some other way. I don't know how they do it, and maybe caulk, I don't know, and they're just like the trim around your house, right? It's all like nailed in with finishing nails. In an RV, the trim around is just held with like tiny little staples, like just a step above paper staples.
Yeah, I know those things.
That's the nature of.
It depends on the level of motor of like RV you get though, right? Because like whenever they came to our place to do that that thing with Sam and all those guys with the prize money. They had 2 RVs they brought to like house us in, like if it rained and I think people eat lunch in there and stuff. And they had supports, like hydraulic supports that came down and like supported the whole thing. Like it wasn't sitting on the tires anymore. It had like legs that it would grow and like
to level it.
It was so nice. I thought it was so nice in that thing. Like we were all like, I think they said it was like $300,000 or something like that.
I wonder if you really looked at it closely, if you'd still think so. I have a friend, a paramotor friend, and he's in the market for an RV. And it seems like professionally he's set up in such a way that he can get a good one. And he just, he's stuck. Like nobody makes an RV that he feels like isn't kind of junk. I was looking at junk ones. I was like, what do you get for $8,000? Like
$8,000.
Yeah, give me some 1992.
You get an old school bus. Yeah,
dude, I thought about that too. I'm like, all right, so if RVs are all kind of cheap and they're just a problem that you're about to buy, how about an ambulance? Right? What if I buy an ambulance? It's got 2 beds built into it, right? It's got a bunch of storage. Traffic issues are solved. Like, what if I bought an ambulance and they typically are overbuilt? They're like big diesel engines and last forever. I don't know. Sometimes I think about buying something. But then every time I look at it, this is what happens. I'm like, okay. It looks like I just need to be in this thing for like $8,000. Well, shit. That's like 80 nights in a hotel. which is not only better but like cheaper, and there's a long time before you get a payoff in buying a car that you can live in.
Yeah, like you would have to be spending a third of your year vacationing, staying in that thing. And even if you did spend that much time vacationing, very quickly that RV turns from like, man, do you believe it has a TV and this little card table and that, to being like, God, I'm so cooped up. I got cabin fever in here. This sucks. Why didn't I just get a bunch of Marriott points like everybody told me to? But now I can't because I'll have to admit I was wrong and I'm fucking idiot to buy this.
I'm convinced now that the only way to vacation is to avoid especially if you're vacationing and not on work, is VRBO or what's that thing that kept getting fucked over with in Airbnb, Airbnb, something like that. Because I've done it several times since, getting places in Atlanta to go hang out for a night or two. And I've gotten like really high-rise apartments where you can see like the whole fucking city for like $150 a night. And I've gotten like whole houses with like a backyard and a grill and like.
What's the difference between the two, VRBO and Airbnb?
So VRBO is vacationrentalsbyowner.com. So it tends to be, there aren't any cots in like closets on there. It's mostly like nice stuff. And that's the one I prefer. It's the one I've used longer. But Airbnb is so big and popular right now that if you go in and set the parameters to like only the whole house, only, if it has air conditioning and cable and Wi-Fi, if you set all the parameters like you want them, then it'll narrow it down to, the listings that you would actually want to stay in. It's just, the thing about Airbnb is the bottom tier of Airbnb is real shit. Like there's no floor there where it's like, oh no, you can't just put someone in a closet. Like, yeah, you can. Like there'll be $15 Airbnbs where it's a cot and you can see extension cords all tangled in the background, and it's like, here, you stay here for the night. You don't want that.
I had a thing, I was waiting for it.
But VRBO, you can get some you can get like a mansion on VRBO for, let's say, $2,500 a night. And it'll have 12 bedrooms. So you and like 3 or 4 couples could go and get this mansion with a pool and a tennis court and 50 acres for like a whole week. And each of you'd only be chipping in a little bit of money. So I like to do that stuff too.
There's a similar service, but it's for renting your house out for movies. And I was like, I wonder if anyone would rent my place out and film a scene or two, like in the Game of Thrones room. Like, would they look at this place and be like, oh, yeah, we're doing a shoot in North Carolina, and this place is 3 hours away, and I wonder.
Like Little Dicky's going to show up?
Little Dicky, or...
Oh, maybe you don't know that reference. He's got a video called Save That Money, and the premise is that he's like making this whole music video for free, and at the beginning, he's literally going from house to house, maybe in Beverly Hills, begging, hey, you got a big house. I'm Little Dicky. I'm a rapper. We'd like to film here. And he just begs until someone says yes.
Yeah, but they rent it out for a lot, and a lot of the, like, if it's a bigger production, something that to you is a notable amount of money, like $4,000 or $5,000 for 2 days, to them is a very tiny piece of the budget. And it's like, I wonder if there's any money to be made there. I wonder
how much would you charge?